Have you ever walked into a room, maybe a party or a meeting, full of people who already know each other,
Oh, yeah.
and you get that immediate, like, really sharp feeling?
Yeah.
Like you've shown up to a movie halfway through.
Totally. The plot's moving. Everyone's laughing at jokes you don't get.
Exactly. You're just standing there completely lost, feeling like the classic outsider. It's pretty universal, I think.
It really is.
But here's the thing. The really counterintuitive thing that our deep dive sources kept bringing up, those established friend groups, the ones that looked wholly locked down, impenetrable.
Yeah.
They actually genuinely want new members. Desperately sometimes.
It sounds crazy, but it's true.
They're just spectacularly bad at showing it. Really bad at the whole welcoming process.
That's absolutely right. And, this deep dive isn't about just kind of sitting back and hoping someone invites you in.
Right, not passive.
No, it's about being strategic. Our mission today is really to give you the playbook, the tools for moving past that initial outsider feeling. We're going to focus on how to, read the energy of a group, figure out what kind of value you can specifically add, and maybe most importantly, how to know when to invest your time and energy and when it's okay to just, walk away. Save yourself the effort.
That last part is key. Conserving energy.
Definitely. And just to set the scene a bit, especially if you live somewhere like Charlotte, the research calls it a transplant city. This is super critical right now.
Why is that? What's special about a transplant city?
Well, in places like that, groups are often under this constant pressure. You might see what looks like a really solid old school circle of friends.
Yeah, like they've known each other forever.
Right. But often what you're actually seeing is maybe 3 or 4 people who met pretty recently themselves, and they're kind of trying to project this image of a big established group.
Oh, interesting. So it's more appearance than reality sometimes.
Precisely. There's a fragility there. These groups are constantly dealing with what the sources call social stagnation.
Stagnation. Meaning?
Meaning they fall into ruts, do the same things, and also member loss. People move for jobs, they get married, life changes, pull them away.
Right, the natural churn of life.
Exactly. So if a group doesn't actively bring in new people, new energy, it just slowly shrinks. It can actually fizzle out entirely.
Wow. So the newcomer isn't really a burden then?
Not at all.
Yeah.
You're potentially the lifeline, the necessary ingredient to keep the group dynamic and, alive.
That completely flips the script, doesn't it? The power dynamic feels different now.
It really should. You're bringing something they need.
Okay, let's dig into this core strategy then.
Yeah.
Becoming what the material calls the useful outsider.
Yes, the useful outsider.
This feels like a really big mindset shift. The goal isn't just trying to, mimic everyone else and fit in.
No, that's just taking up space, basically.
Right. The strategic goal is to become someone the group actually benefits from knowing. You become an asset, someone they actively want to keep around.
And this is where it gets really practical and specific. The sources identify 4 key roles, 4 archetypes of this useful outsider.
4 specific ways to add value.
Exactly. 4 ways that almost guarantee you bring something valuable because they meet needs that established groups often let slide.
Okay, what's the first one?
First up is the connector. This is the person who's like an engine for novelty.
Novelty, like new ideas.
New places, mostly. They know the cool undiscovered spots, maybe a great new hiking trail, a little restaurant nobody's heard of yet. They break the group out of just going to the same 3 bars every single week.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because that lack of novelty, that routine, can really kill the energy in a group, right? That endless, where should we go Friday debate.
Exactly. It gets paralyzing. So the connector solves that.
Okay, archetype 1, the connector. What's next?
The second one is the organizer.
Yeah.
And this one might be the most crucial.
The organizer. Why crucial?
Think about how many times you've been in a group and someone vaguely says, we should totally hang out more. Or, yeah, we should really go camping sometime this summer.
Oh, yeah. Constantly. All these good intentions, but 0 actual plans.
Right. The organizer is the person who steps up. They say, okay, how about next Saturday? I saw this spot. They suggest concrete plans, dates, times. They turn the vague idea into something real.
They do the legwork.
Exactly. They lift that coordination burden off the established members who might be kind of tired of doing it.
Makes sense. Very valuable. Okay, 2 down. What's third?
Third, you've got the activity expert. This person expands the group's shared activities.
So not just places, but things to do.
Yeah, they bring a new skill or deep knowledge. Maybe they're great at recommending specific kinds of board games the group hasn't tried, or they know how to navigate the city's bike trails, or maybe they suggest like a fun cooking competition night.
So they add a new dimension to the group's interactions.
Precisely. And the fourth one, the cultural bridge, is really interesting.
Cultural bridge. How does that work?
Yeah. This role helps stop the conversation from just cycling through the same old stories and opinions. They bring in different perspectives, maybe connect the group to other interesting communities or scenes they know. They freshen up the dialogue.
Ah, okay, so they prevent the echo chamber effect.
You got it. By consciously embodying just one of these four roles, you immediately shift. You're not just the random new person tagging along anymore. You're kind of essential.
That's powerful. Out of those four, though, I mean, is one harder than the others? I can see the organizer being super valuable, but maybe also exhausting. Like you become the default planner forever.
That's a really good point. The research hints that people often gravitate towards the connector first. It feels lower effort, right?
Yeah.
It's just a new bar.
Yeah, easier lift.
The organizer definitely carries the highest risk of burnout, like you said, but it's also probably the fastest way to become indispensable.
High risk, high reward.
Kind of.
Yeah.
The one that seems to take the most conscious, deliberate effort, though, is probably the cultural bridge.
Why is that?
Because it requires real curiosity about others and the ability to kind of translate or synthesize between different social worlds or viewpoints. It's a bit more nuanced.
That makes total sense. Okay, so you figure out your potential useful role, but we all have limited time, limited emotional energy. You can't just try this everywhere.
Exactly. Strategy requires focus.
So before you even start executing this plan, you need to be smart about where you apply it. The sources really hammered this point. Learn to spot the difference between groups that are actually joinable and those that are, for all practical purposes, closed.
It's pure efficiency. You want to invest your effort where it has a chance of paying off, right, in fertile ground.
So what are the signs? What are the green flags that tell you, okay, this group might be worth the effort?
Well, first, just observe their normal behavior. Do they sometimes invite friends of friends along, even if those people aren't, like, permanent members yet?
Okay, so openness to plus ones.
Yeah, it shows a culture that's at least theoretically open to expansion. Second, watch how they handle their own history, their inside jokes.
Ugh, the dreaded inside joke.
Right. When one comes up, do they make a little effort to explain the context? Do they say something quick like, oh, that was from that time we all tried rock climbing and Dave fell immediately? Just a little bridge so you're not completely excluded.
That's a huge one. It shows they're consciously making space for you, not just sort of talking around you.
Exactly. It's active inclusion. Also, look at where they hang out. Are most of their group activities happening in public places? Breweries, parks, restaurants.
Why does public matter?
Public venues usually mean lower barriers to entry. It's less intimate, less guarded than always meeting at someone's private home.
Okay, less territorial.
And finally, listen for future talk. Do they mention specific, concrete plans for the next time they hang out? We're doing trivia here next Tuesday, or we're going to check out that festival.
As opposed to just, see you later.
Right. Specific plans indicate momentum you can easily latch onto rather than having to wait passively for a direct invitation each time.
Got it. Green flags. Openness, explaining jokes, public venues, future plans. Makes sense. Now the flip side then, the red flags. The signs that say, abort mission, save your energy.
Yes, the immediate warning signs.
Yeah.
The most obvious one is probably that heavy, unapologetic reliance on inside jokes that just constantly leave newcomers completely in the dark.
Where they almost seem to enjoy the exclusivity.
Sometimes, yeah. They're not trying to build a bridge, they're reinforcing the wall. Also, related to the venue thing, if the plans always happen at someone's house.
Always private.
Yeah, it signals a much deeper, more protected intimacy. You're not just trying to join a social group, you're trying to enter their private space, and the bar for acceptance there is naturally much, much higher.
Okay.
What else? A huge one is if nobody asks you anything about yourself, your interests, your background, what you do, nothing.
Oof. Yeah, that's a bad sign.
It suggests they're not actually looking for a new person with their own perspective. They might just be looking for, like, a temporary audience member.
Just someone to fill a seat.
Pretty much. And one more structural thing. Look for rigidity. Is there clearly one person who controls all the group decisions? The gatekeeper.
The social dictator.
Kind of, yeah. If there's a very strict hierarchy like that, it's going to be really hard for a new voice or new ideas to find space. Investing energy in a group like that is almost always a losing battle.
Right. Okay, red flags, exclusive jokes, always private venues, no curiosity about you, and a rigid gatekeeper. Good list to watch out for.
Definitely helps you filter where to put your effort.
So let's say you've done your homework, you've spotted the green flags, you've avoided the red ones, you've found a potentially joinable group. Now what? How do you actually integrate systematically?
This is where the research offers a really clear framework. We can call it the 3-touch rule. It's about systematically building familiarity and showing your commitment.
3 touches. Okay, what's touch 1?
Touch 1 is all about consistency. You need to show up. Specifically, attend the same recurring activity the group does. Maybe it's trivia night, maybe it's a weekend coffee meetup 3 or 4 times consistently.
Why 3 or 4?
Well, the thinking is, the first time you show up, that just signals initial interest. Could be random. The second time shows actual commitment, follow through.
Okay, not a fluke.
Right. By the third or fourth time, you start hitting this familiarity threshold. You stop being the new person and you start becoming just a regular. You blend into the background a bit, in a good way.
You become part of the furniture.
Social furniture.
Exactly. You're no longer a novelty needing special attention.
Okay, consistency is touch 1. That makes sense. But then, how quickly should you try to, deepen those connections? Is there a danger of moving too fast, seeming too eager or needy? Because touch 2 is about individual bonds, isn't it?
That's the nuance, yeah. Touch 2 is about adding individual value, but carefully. The goal here is to connect with just 1 or maybe 2 individuals from the group, but outside the main group setting.
One-on-one or smaller groups. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be some huge commitment. It could be grabbing a quick coffee, maybe lunch if you happen to work nearby.
Oh.
Or maybe doing a specific activity that you know that particular person is interested in.
Ah, so tailored to them.
Ideally, this builds a much stronger foundation for you within the group. Your connection isn't just through the main organizer or whoever first invited you. You now have, internal allies.
Okay, so you're building multiple anchor points.
Exactly. It makes your position much more stable.
Makes sense. Consistency first, then targeted individual connections.
Yeah.
What's touch 3?
And finally, touch 3 is where you contribute to the group culture. This is where you actively deploy whichever useful outsider role you decided fits you best.
So this is where you bring the value you identified earlier.
Yes. Suggest that new activity the connector would suggest. Bring a cool friend who you genuinely think fits the group's vibe, if you're a bridge. Or, actually organize that camping trip the group only ever talks about doing, if you're the organizer.
This is like your proof of concept. Show, don't just tell.
Exactly. You demonstrate tangibly that you bring something positive to the table.
Okay, that 3-touch system, consistency, individual value, group contribution, feels really logical. But maybe we can offer some more specific tactics. How do you actually do touch 2 or 3 smoothly?
Sure. The sources had some great actionable methods for this. One they called the bridge strategy.
The bridge strategy.
Yeah. Instead of trying to win over the entire group at once, which can be intimidating,
Totally.
focus your initial energy on building a really solid connection with just one person in the group who seems naturally welcoming or open.
Find the friendly face.
Right. Let that person become your bridge, your advocate, maybe your guide into the wider group dynamics. It's less overwhelming.
I like that. Leverage the welcoming ones. What else?
Another one is the activity catalyst method. This ties into the organizer role. If you hear the group talking about something new they want to try, maybe it's a brewery tour across town, or checking out a specific cooking class, jump on it. Volunteer immediately to do the research, figure out the details, and organize it.
Take the initiative.
Yeah. Taking that initiative early gives you a kind of temporary leadership role related to that specific event. And it guarantees your presence is tied directly to a positive, new, shared experience for everyone.
Smart. Ties your value directly to something fun.
And one more tactical thing, dealing with those inevitable inside jokes when you first start, it can feel awkward.
Super awkward. What do? You don't want to kill the vibe by demanding an explanation.
Exactly. So the recommended script, the graceful way to handle it, is to just smile and say something simple like, that sounds like there's a great story behind it.
Okay. Shows interest, but doesn't put them on the spot.
Right. It acknowledges you heard it, signals you're open and interested, but it doesn't force them to stop everything and explain the whole backstory right then and there.
Yeah.
It keeps the flow going.
That's a good line. I'm going to remember that one. Sounds like a great story.
It works wonders. Now, tying this back to that transplant city idea we mentioned earlier, like Charlotte.
Right, where groups are more fluid.
The sources actually got really specific about how the local neighborhood culture there can dictate the best entry points for integration.
Oh, interesting. So it varies block by block.
To some extent, yeah. Take NODA, the Arts District, for example. The advice there was integration often happens best through active community participation.
Like what?
Things like the gallery crawls, maybe joining a casual neighborhood softball league, or volunteering at local events.
Getting involved.
Yeah. And the pro tip there was volunteer for the setup or cleanup shifts at those events.
Why set up or clean up? Seems like the grunt work.
Because shared manual tasks, working side by side, actually builds bonds much faster than just trying to make forced conversation at the main event. It's less pressure, more natural connection.
Shoulder-to-shoulder bonding. Okay, makes sense for NODA. What about somewhere else?
Contrast that with Plaza Midwood. The key there, according to the sources, is more about reliability and consistency, showing up regularly.
So less about events, more about being a fixture.
Exactly. It's seen as an inclusive neighborhood, but you earn your place by becoming a familiar face at one of the local staples, maybe a specific coffee shop or a well-known bar like Snug Harbor or Inman Park was mentioned.
Just be there.
Be there reliably. Show up consistently, and that familiarity threshold we talked about gets crossed more naturally over time.
Okay, NODA, participate. Plaza Midwood,
Yeah.
be consistent. What about, say, South End? That's known for being younger. Lots of professionals.
Right. And for South End, the advice was actually quite different again. The suggestion was, don't try to start something new yourself. Instead, focus on joining existing established activities.
Like what kind of activities?
Things like the running clubs that are already popular or the brewery trivia teams that are already formed. The social infrastructure is kind of already built there.
So tap into what's already flowing.
Exactly. Your goal is to plug into those pre-existing social currents rather than trying to create your own wave.
Fascinating how location-specific that advice is.
It really highlights how context matters in social strategy.
Okay, so you've picked your group, you've applied the three-touch rule, maybe used some bridge strategies. You're putting in the effort. How do you know if it's actually working? What are the signs that integration is succeeding? We need something more solid than just like a vague feeling.
Absolutely. Objective metrics are key. You know you're successfully integrating when a few things start happening.
Like what?
One big sign. People start texting you directly about plans. Not just copying you on a mass group chat, but reaching out individually.
Okay, personal outreach. That's a good one.
Another, the inside jokes start referencing things you've said or done. You're becoming part of the group's shared history now.
You're in the story now.
Exactly. Also, when someone actively seeks out your opinion before the group makes a decision, hey, what do you think about going here? That shows your input is valued.
Right. You're not just being informed after the fact.
And maybe the most crucial signal, you start getting invited to the smaller, more intimate hangouts. The stuff that isn't the main scheduled weekly event, maybe just a couple of people grabbing dinner spontaneously.
The inner circle invites.
Basically, yeah. That signals you've really moved from being a general acquaintance to being considered an actual friend by the core members.
Okay, those are great concrete signs of success. But what about the other side? What if you're doing all this and crickets?
Right. You need an exit strategy, too. You can't pour energy into a black hole forever.
So when do you call it?
If you find you are consistently doing all the initiating, you're always the one suggesting places, always the one texting individuals first, always the one trying to organize things, that's a warning sign.
If the effort is totally one-sided.
Yeah. And the benchmark the source material gives is pretty clear. If after about 6 to 8 interactions, showing up consistently, trying to connect individually, you still feel fundamentally like an outsider, and you're clearly shouldering all the effort,
Time to cut your losses.
it's probably time to switch your focus. That energy is likely better invested in a different group, one that's maybe more actively looking for or open to new members. Don't take it personally, just strategically reallocate your effort.
That's really practical advice. Know when to fold them.
Essential for managing your social energy.
And one last piece of advice the sources offered, before maybe tackling that really high-stakes group you desperately want to join.
Yeah.
They suggested using lower-stakes environments as, like, practice grounds.
Practice, how so?
Think about events like open game nights, or maybe specialized coffee clubs focused on a hobby, or drop-in hiking groups, places where there's a natural, expected mix of regulars and newcomers all the time.
Okay. Less pressure.
Exactly. These environments let you practice reading group energy, try out the three-touch rule, maybe test your useful outsider persona, all without the intense emotional pressure you might feel trying to crack into a really tight, established circle. It builds your skills and confidence.
That's smart. Low stakes practice for high stakes games. So if we kind of bring this all together, the main takeaway, especially for places like Charlotte, but really anywhere with some social fluidity, remember that integration advantage.
The idea that being new isn't always a disadvantage.
Right. Your status as a newcomer can actually be a benefit because, as we said, groups often need that new blood, that fresh energy to stay vibrant. They might just be bad at asking for it.
So the key is approaching it strategically, not desperately.
Precisely. It's strategy over supplication.
So the action plan for the listener: first, do your research, observe the group, look for those green flags. Second, commit to consistent participation, nail touch one.
Show up.
Third, build those critical one-on-one connections outside the main group, touch two.
Find your allies.
And finally, make that solid, useful contribution to the group culture, touch three. Fulfill your chosen role.
Prove your value.
And the exciting part is once you master this blueprint in one situation, you basically gain this transferable skill set, right?
Yeah.
You have the tools to potentially join any circle that genuinely interests you.
Absolutely. It demystifies the whole process. It's not magic. It's largely skill and strategy.
So maybe the final thought is this. Most groups aren't actually trying to be exclusive fortresses.
No, not intentionally, usually.
They're often just, well, socially lazy, comfortable in their routines.
Exactly. So your job is to strategically find the group that maybe doesn't even realize yet that it needs what you uniquely can offer. Go find that match.